Hi, this is Rob from DMBAlmanac.com with This Week in Dave Matthews Band History. And this week in 2001, DMB were in the middle of a near 20-show stadium run. On June 11th, 2001, night one of Giant Stadium, the band tried to squeeze in a quick two-step as the last song of the night before storms hit the venue. They were unsuccessful, though, as mid-song thunder turned to pouring rain, then hail, drenching everyone all before the final notes. It created one of the first DMB internet memes, Two-Step in the Rain, and the song was released on the Best of What's Around compilation's live disc, where you can hear the thunder and the crowd reactions to it. You can find all the track listings and check in on the current summer tour at dmbalmanac.com, and follow us on Facebook and Threads to get daily updates with everything that happened that day in the band's history.
Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to The Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans behind a band. What an interesting concept to think about the fans behind a band. A lot of people think about the band. What are they going to play next? What are they going to do? Especially when you're talking about a band that has the history that our band. We say our band, but it's like my baby, right? It's your baby too. And we've got a guest on this show. I'm not going to let her speak yet because I want her to introduce herself. But I love the fact that we talk about the fans behind the Dave Matthews Band. If you've never heard of the Dave Matthews Band, get buckled in because that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast. If the name of this podcast didn't give it away, The Space Between is literally a Dave Matthews Band song. So we are going to break down what's happened in our history. This band has over 30 years of history. And when you're talking about over 30 years, there's a lot of details and a lot of changes within the band, but also a lot of changes within the fan life because guess what? We grew up too with the band. Of course, there's fans that have just found the band, fans that found them 10 years ago, and fans that have found them over 30 years ago. There's no certain look for a fan, but everyone has a different story in how they found them. And so that's what this podcast is about each fan's voyage, if you will, their journey with the Dave Matthews Band. How in the world did they find this music? And why are they still listening to a band that's over 30 years old? Now, it's super uncommon to hear of a band that is over 30 years, especially now in 2025. So if you, again, have not ever heard of the Dave Matthews Band, definitely check them out. It's not too late to get on the bandwagon as a fan of the Dave Matthews Band. They are still touring right now. There's not a lot of places they don't go. I would say they don't come to Arkansas enough, but that's me saying that because that's where I live. But it's never too late to be a Dave fan. And so every episode I have a fan of the Dave Matthews Band come on the show to share how in the world did they meet this band and how, why, all the things. Are they still listening to this old band? Now, I say that, because they're my favorite band. But I say that because in the world of bands, the Dave Matthews Band is an old band in the band world, right? They're not old men unless you're 20. And then, yes, they're definitely old men, but they're in their 50s and 60s. And you know what? So are we. So I have another guest on the show today. I'm going to let her introduce herself. What's your name? Where are you from? And tell us something about you.
Hi, my name's Sara Suvada, and I live in Auburn Hills, Michigan, America's High Five, the Mitten. I've worked for Starbucks for 24 years. I have, yes. I bake. I am a mom to a sweet 9-year-old girl named Moira, and my husband Paul, I've been married to for 7 years. We actually just celebrated our 7-year anniversary last month. He's a line cook. And I have lots of other things I kind of dip into hobby wise. I ghost hunt on the side. I haven't done it in a while, but I do that as well. My daughter's actually getting interested into the lot of the ghost hunting shows I watch too. I nickname her my little spooky child sometimes. I have a cat too. That's the only pet I have, and her name is Hecate, the goddess of magic. But also, she she is also a character in Shakespeare's Macbeth. She's one of the weird sisters. So, the one that says "double, double, toil and trouble." She's a little black kitty cat. So it's my trifecta of spooky things, especially because Halloween's my favorite time of year as well. Oh, it's so my favorite, and I go all out every year. And I've tried, like when my daughter was younger, we tried to do like the themed costumes and stuff. A few years ago, we did Beetlejuice theme. So my husband was Adam, my daughter was Barbara with the masks and everything, and I was Beetlejuice. So
Let's talk about let me throw out the question that I always throw out to everyone. Tell me your very first memory, if or what you can remember, obviously, but of hearing about the Dave Matthews Band. How did that happen?
it's funny because I ended up in high school. I was a band nerd, and I was in
Oh no, I
marching
love
band.
band nerds.
Yeah, oh yeah. I played the trumpet
Yes.
and cornet. And I was in marching band.
Yeah.
And I was friends with uh a lot of the students and kids in my, especially in the band class, from various
Yeah.
grades. And I ended up going on, like, I guess what you consider my first date with this kid Jeff. He was a saxophone player, and
Hi,
he
Jeff.
when we and like we ended up going on this date, whatever. We're in, like, he picks me up and stuff, and we're in the car, and he's playing Under the Table and Dreaming. And
Mm.
that's the first time I actually get to listen to that album from pretty much beginning to like at least middle of it. And I remember after that, then asking for that album for Christmas, and my mom got it for me. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, well, now I need everything else.
Right.
I need everything.
Right. And you
So,
knew, well, at that point, did you know the difference between, yes, you had heard a live show, but like, did you really pick up on the fact that live was different than studio album?
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes, you knew.
Oh, yeah. And like, I really just wanted to discover more of what they had, because I did not know anything else other than what I had seen videos of on, VH1, and also just what I had heard also through the window. And then only having one album, I need to discover more. And so I
Mhm.
then
How do
started
you
getting
do that at night? What, so 1995? Is that what where we're at kind of?
yeah, like 95, 96.
How do you find more? Like,
Well,
I'm trying
so
to
I
remember all these things, but like in 95, how do you find more?
Oh, CDs. Like, all I did was just my favorite one of my favorite uh record stores. Um I would go to either Harmony House, or I think it was Record Time. Uh and I would go there and just spend like an hour or two just thumbing through
Yeah, listening to shit. Yeah,
everything. And
looking.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I would take like babysitting money because I babysat at the time. um,
Uh-huh.
and just purchase albums and, well, then CDs, and I still have cassettes too. Um,
Yeah. I mean, that's our childhood.
yes,
It just
yes,
is.
yes, and I ended up then, when internet became a thing, and my mom joined the real world and got the got a dial-up connection. I ended up then like
Big time.
camping out on the internet and just researching and trying to see what I could find regarding like their history and studying each band member, like who they were, and I'm like, okay, well, and then I was then turned on to like Live at Luther College, and then I had the Live at Red Rocks, and then I had
Oh, shit.
Remember Two Things.
You're getting all of them.
Yeah, and then I just started collecting everything, and then come like, gosh, I want to say this was in my senior year. I was full on obsessed. And
What does obsessed look like for you?
oh
What
god,
does that look like? Because
I
there's
needed to have
different levels of
everything.
obsession.
I needed to have everything. I needed to
Yeah.
have all, like the little pamphlets that came inside the CD covers with like for the
Yeah.
Dave Matthews Band albums where you could buy from their store. I would
Oh, yeah.
send for that, and I got my first Fire Dancer t-shirt. I got bumper stickers. And this is gonna sound so crazy, but I had a little mini shrine where I had my bumper stickers, I had magazines, I had these massive,
Yeah.
I had posters that I had ordered from those little pamphlets. And then the first concert I finally like bought tickets for
Uh-huh.
was in December of 98. Now, before this concert happened, there was also like there was a contest for one of the local radio stations at the time. They were having this
Yeah.
contest that for if you listened to 4 5 second clips of it, could span from live shows and also albums. You had to guess the songs, but you also had to be caller 10.
Ooh, I like
So
it.
it was I was guessing every single one of them. I was calling in every time that they would play the clips and stuff. And if nobody got it, then they would extend it to
Right.
the next hour and so on and so forth. And it was winding down to like maybe a few days before the concert that I already had tickets for, because I had to call on the phone old school style and get those through Ticketmaster.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And
The days.
yes. And and it was winding down, and then finally like I ended up getting through. I was caller 10. And I guessed all the
Oh,
songs, and I screamed into
yes, you did.
the radio personality's ear, and I had won, and it was for a private session, like private like concert basically with Dave Matthews himself. So
What?
anybody who had won each consecutive time was a part of that session. It was the radio station was at the time 105.1 The Edge, and they had these little mini concerts that they would put on live called Edge sessions, and that's what Dave was doing, was an edge session. And so I had won, and I got to go, and I was
Oh my God.
and I brought my best friend Katie. And I remember trying to get to the studio because this Edge session happened the same day as the concert. So we had to be there in the morning because it was a live recording and everything too. Um, and then our concert was that night because I bought 4 tickets to the concert and took my friend Katie as well, along with her now brother-in-law, and her sister. But we went to this private concert at the radio station, and it was me and like 25 other people, and then the people from the radio station in the studio. And I was the dummy that brought an actual loud Polaroid camera. I took Polaroids of the whole thing. So
I
every
love it,
time
though.
I would
You were
take
like,
a
"Look at me."
picture, it would go and print it out, and I just like shyly sit there in the back, like, you didn't hear that, sorry. And
I
he's
love
playing,
that so much.
and like I had also set it up to record at home too on cassette on my stereo so that I could listen to it
Oh,
as well
yeah.
later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Wait, no, we have to talk more about that. We have to go. It's kind of like you wanting every detail from your boyfriend. Like, I need every detail because I have never heard of this. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this story is going to be like, Edge concert? What? You
yeah,
and
it was an
25
Edge
people and
session. Yeah,
Dave?
yeah, he played like
I've
4 or
never
5
heard of this. Tell
songs.
me everything.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 songs. Um, he played. Let's see, "Don't Drink the Water." He played. I think he played a Christmas song, and there was one other I can't remember right now. But, it was yeah, just him, and it was acoustic, and I remember getting to the radio station, we were all waiting in the lobby and everything, and there was, like, another, like, side contest that was happening where you had to, like if you didn't win the Edge session, then you could, like, also make a nativity scene because it was right around the holidays of, like, the band and
Uh-huh.
stuff. So there were all these, like, nativity scenes sitting in the lobby of this radio station with like depictions of Dave Matthews and Stefan and Carter and and Boyd and just like and Leroy. It was just kind of comical to see it. And I had actually hurriedly made
Oh
one just
my
in
God.
case I didn't win this Edge session, but I didn't need it.
No.
So
What, do you have pictures of this? Please tell me you have
the little
pictures.
nativity scene, I think I do somewhere. I think I actually took a Polaroid of it.
Oh my God. Of course you did.
Uh,
Ah. Oh, this is so good.
yeah.
I love it. Okay, so how are you feeling? And like, how small was the room? Like, give me all the juicy
The
details here.
the room was so like I was really like excited, but I was also nervous because I didn't know what to expect. And my
Right.
best friend who I brought, like, she was a fan with me, but not as rabid as I was.
Right. Whatever it is, different levels, different levels.
Yeah, yeah, yes. She wasn't on the same level as me. And so like but she was so excited to be there as well too and happy that like I chose her to come with me, but
Of
we
course. What a big deal.
we were led through to like go to the studio and everything and I remember passing like I guess what you would call like the green room
Yeah.
where he was sitting and
Oh, yeah.
talking to one of the radio DJs just like conversing or whatever. And I remember passing by that room and just like glancing in there and he kind of looked up and I was like, "Oh my God, that was him. I can't believe
That's
it."
actually him.
Yeah.
He's real.
And I was kind of slowly like dying inside, like, what the hell is going on right now? I thought I was like, I had to pinch myself,
All good things.
And then we
You're
got to
hallucinating.
yeah, I thought I was. And then like we got to the studio and all these I thought and like this little studio wasn't big at all. It was like maybe I don't even know square footage or whatever, but it was maybe the size
Yeah.
of like a
It was
master
small.
bedroom. And
Hell yeah. Oh my
and
God.
we're all filing in and everything. And there's no seats. We just like sat on the floor, standing room, whatever. And
Mhm.
and I was kind of like towards the back of the room. And like I said, I had a Polaroid camera, so I was loud with every picture I felt like, but
Oh my God.
but then like
This is so great. I totally love it.
he was being interviewed and by the two radio DJs that were there um and then he went into some songs and stuff and like I'll never forget the backdrop behind him. It was kind of like a chevron, like almost like resembled like a zebra print. It was like black and white.
Uh-huh.
Um and
Yeah.
I remember later flipping through one of the fan books, the countless ones that are out there right now. And there was a picture
A
of
lot.
that in there. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I definitely have a photo of that too." So, but yeah, it was just such a wild thing to be a part of. And
I am so happy for you. That's a really big deal. And like, even at the time you knew it was a big deal, but like now that we're way out in 2025 to look back on that, does it still blow your mind?
it does. And I can't believe anything like that happened ever. I can't believe some things happened to me ever like that anyway, but still I felt so just lucky to be a part of something like that. And I still have the cassette of what I recorded from home while I was there. And I listen to it from time to
Oh, right.
time. And
I want to hear it.
it just blows my mind. Like, I can't believe it. So,
I wonder if there's any way that you could digitize that and like send that out to
yeah,
people so we could
I can
hear it.
definitely get that, I think it's also on some sort of I know I had found it somewhere on a database a while ago too. I'll have to track it down, but
Let me know. And if I get it by the time this comes out, I'll put a link in the show notes and you guys can watch it too. That way you can
yeah.
put yourself in the room with Sarah. It was 1998. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yep. December of 98.
Okay.
I believe the show was December 11th. And because the concert that I had the tickets to it took place at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which no longer exists. It got knocked down a few years ago, um, but I had nosebleed seats and I had paid for all the tickets for my friends and myself. And I also was like, you know what? Because I'm obsessed and because it's been such, me winning the contest and everything and the devotion I had for this band already, I'm like, I'm renting a limo. I'm not going to ask for a ride. I'm renting a limo.
Yes. You're my kind
So
of girl.
I rented that limo and I took every Dave Matthews Band shirt I had and I put it in the limo just for decoration. And then I went to my best friend's house and picked up her sister, and then her sister's boyfriend. But they've been married for, it's like they've been married forever. It feels like to me because I've known them for over 25 years. But
It might. Yeah, it is.
yeah. But and then like we went to the show
So, okay,
and
how were the emotions? Yes. Are you still on cloud 9 when
yeah, yeah,
you left your small session to go get ready for your big session? Like,
yes,
you were just on a high all day, I'm sure.
yeah, yep. It was like by the end of the day, I was so exhausted, but it was that good kind of exhaustion that you get from just in general, like the build up to
Yeah,
doing something. But the fact that I had been up so early to make sure that I was at the studio earlier that day on time.
yeah.
Because there were some problems. This was before GPS was a thing, so there was some problems with MapQuest
Right.
that I printed out.
Oh, you had to print that shit out. Yeah. God, I'm glad we're not doing that anymore.
No,
Reading
no.
and driving is not safe.
Yeah, no.
Seemed
Um,
smart at the time.
yeah, I was like, by the time we got to the show and everything, I was just like, still like adrenaline was still going because like I could not believe the last 24 hours had happened. And I, because before these crowded streets had come out that year, um, that was obviously like the album that I was into then, and I
Right.
really, really dove really into that album too. Later that year when I ended up going to Seattle, taking a trip to Seattle. My best friend Katie's dad ended up buying me a train ticket to Seattle for 2 weeks to go out with her and the family and everything. And I took a train from Chicago to Seattle and brought that album with me. And I sat coach while my friend was in a sleeper car with her mom. And all I did
Mhm.
was sleep and fall asleep to that album. And I listened to it
You really
nonstop.
dug into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And even when we would drive throughout, like I'd be in the car with them driving to different parts of Washington State and everything. It's such a beautiful state as it is. And
Is
we would take day trips to like Mount Rainier or Mount St. Helens, or we took a trip to Ocean Shores right there on the coast. It was the first time I ever saw the Pacific Ocean. And we
wow.
stayed in a house there that we rented on the beach. And that, I mean, that it was the typical like Washington weather where it was kind of like overcast, kind of misty, but
Yeah.
like it was the perfect setting for me to just throw on my headphones and listen to my Discman. And that was the album I was listening to, was Before These Crowded Streets.
I love that album. I mean, truth be told, I love every album. There's not one that I can discard and be like, I could do
Yeah.
without that. No, that's not the level of fan I am, whatever level that is. But that album is just, it's one that so many people pick out as their
Mhm.
favorite of all times because there's just so many like trademark songs on that album that like
Right.
even still are some of their top songs. I mean, you could pick one off every album, I suppose, and say that, but that album,
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it's amazing. It was amazing. And I
Yeah.
love that you kind of dug into it because Dave, at least for me, has been a tricky band to dig into, not only because there's so much history, but because
Mhm.
the man writes so advanced, like in his writing skills and the way
Mhm.
he throws characters in and it's just a lot to break down and try to understand. And so I think, that one probably took you a while. And so when you were listening to it, were there things that stuck out or, I mean, I'm throwing you under the bus right now going, okay, which song really made a difference in your life? No, I'm not asking that. I mean, like, what did you think as you were listening to that in the train? Like, were there some thoughts that you were like,
I
wow?
Because I had just graduated from high school. It was, I was 18. I was
Mhm.
trying to figure out who the heck I was and what I was going to do after high school. And this trip was a
Yeah.
nice little kind of like almost self-discovery as far as like who I wanted to be, but at the same time I also didn't know who I was. And when I was listening to that album, there were the songs towards the end of the album, like Pig, Spoon, um, Crush, where it kind of just like with Bella's banjo and all of that just really just touched me, and staring out the window of the train and watching the landscape go by, going through South Dakota, seeing the fields and fields of sunflowers through the window. It's just like the perfect setting, and it was so relaxing, and I it was like sensory overload at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember then really being obsessed with the song Pig. And when I was staying in Seattle, I was staying at my friend Katie's grandma's house, and I was
Mhm.
just like sleeping on the floor in like a sleeping bag some of the time, and um
Yeah.
I would throw my headphones on and just fall asleep to the album too. So, and I remember waking up sometimes to Pig, and uh it would incorporate into my dreams too. And I like it's one of those experiences I will never forget, and it's just like a memory that I also attach to that album as well, along with other albums I
Oh, yeah.
attach memories to too. But yeah,
Sure.
it's
No, I get it.
yeah.
Isn't it cool to think back of that? I mean, after all these years to think about, I mean, this band has been with you all of your adult life.
Yes.
all of your adult life.
I can say I grew up with Dave Matthews Band. I really did. And not just like years wise, of course, but also soul wise, mentally. I feel like when I turned 19, that's where I was really feeling lost. I didn't really get along with my father. We had a really tough relationship growing up. And there was a age gap for sure. Like my mom and dad were 28 years apart. And
Wow.
my father and I clashed a lot. I got along with my mom quite well. And where in times when my father and I clashed, I really would turn to music to kind of like escape. Like I'd escape to my room, and I had a 5-disc changer in my stereo, and I would throw that
Fancy.
yeah. I would just turn it on, turn it up, and just drown him out from just hollering and harping at me. And I would then escape to my friends' houses, and I had a friend that lived in the neighborhood across from mine, or I would go to my friend Katie's house, or because I didn't have a car at the time, I didn't have my license yet. So she would like come pick me up, and we'd go driving around, and we just listen to Dave and stuff. And and when I finally left home after a big blowout argument with my dad, I ended up moving in with some friends of mine. Like this was the first time being on my own. And that's when I kind of like lost my way a little bit because I was trying new things. It was the first time I started drinking. It was the first time I started partaking in marijuana and everything. And it was me discovering also like my group of friends that I had from high school. I was hanging out with more than I was in high school, I guess you could say, because then they were also friends with people that I got to know. And then it was just this big group of people that I was trying to get to know, but at the same time, personalities clashing and stuff like that. But I didn't know it, but like I was very, very depressed and in a deep depression. And I was seeking out trying to just escape. And at one point I had had enough, and I did try to escape permanently. And I didn't know how to ask for help. And my mom had no idea about what was going on. And she knew about after the fact later in later years, but that's through many conversations and opening up about myself because I tend to keep things in. I think a lot of people do.
A lot of us do.
Yeah. Especially when it pertains to the people you care about most, which is your family. And you don't want to have you don't want them to see you struggling. And so I ended up reaching out for help, and I got the help that I needed. And I ended up actually going through a couple weeks of just it was a day hospital program, but I ended up going through treatment and stuff like that, and it really helped me. And I got some also toxic friends out of my life that I didn't need at that time that also helped a lot. But I ended up moving in with my grandmother and my grandfather, who my grandmother is like one of my best friends. She's the best ever. I ended up moving in with them, and I got my head on straight, and I ended up actually going to college, and I was also diving more into Dave Matthews at the same time. Because then like
it's like 2 jobs, man.
Yeah, like also, it sounds terrible, but like Napster and all that was a thing then too, and LimeWire, and my and I had some friends that like knew how to do that stuff, and they told me how to like I was friends with them on a couple of those databases, and they would help me like locate certain shows and stuff like that. Because then I had like learned about the tape trading and stuff like that, and the uploading of the shows and stuff, and so I could listen to the shows. And I would do that in my grandparents' basement because my grandfather had a whole office set up because he also was a musician, and he had a whole recording studio and stuff. But he was also a writer,
Wow.
and he used to be a professor and everything. And I had helped him set up a computer office slash typewriter slash where he could just get work done. And I
Right.
would camp out on his computer a lot till like 3 o'clock in the morning, just listening to music and
Mhm.
building like up a playlist and stuff like that of just the stuff I liked. Um,
Right.
and AOL Instant Messenger was a thing. And I was also now a part of the warehouse as well. So I was starting to connect with fans from the boards and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
talking to them through AOL Instant Messenger, and um, discovering more that way as well. And how I'm not the only crazy fan out there.
Exactly. That's what the show's all about. You are not alone.
Yeah,
We're like an army of ants, right? Like, literally.
exactly. Exactly. And I remember putting together printing it off offline, putting a lyric book together of like all of the Dave Matthews Band albums, the lyrics, just like in a little like 3 hole
Oh,
punch.
hell
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I did that.
Yes. I
I
love
told
your
that.
level of fanship,
Yeah.
man. Oh, I love it.
And then I printed
It's like,
out
"Talk
like,
dirty to me."
yeah, I printed out like all the photos and everything that I could find, and in color, of course, because color ink. That was like you
The
had to do it in
shit.
color, none of that black and white stuff.
Oh, I need to know
Yeah,
what color pajama pants he has on or
exactly.
whatever, you
Yeah.
know?
And then I remember like going out to Kalamazoo with my college friends, who were going to school out there, and there was like a college shop because I had a car finally. I would drive them out there, and we'd just like party at one of the houses out there. And there was a shop there on the college campus. I think it was, I can't remember the name of it, but they sold posters and stuff. And I remember they sold these massive, almost like wall size Dave Matthews posters. And I'm not kidding you when
What?
I say this. I literally spent the last $30 I had on 3 wall-size Dave Matthews posters, and I was legit worried about how I was gonna get back home because that was the money I was gonna use for gas.
I love it. Those are solid decisions we made back in our youth, and some
Yeah,
still do.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. It was yes, for me, it was priority. I had to have it, and I still have them,
It is.
and I still have those.
Oh my god. Are they
The
on your
amount of
wall?
memorabilia. They aren't on my wall, but they were on my wall like 4 apartments ago, so
Yep,
I currently
yep.
own a
Oh my
home now.
god.
Thankfully own a home now, but
Yay,
yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. Yeah,
Oh,
we're
we're
in
hoping to find the perfect spot for permanent Dave there.
yeah,
Like
it's
a
a work in
permanent person.
progress, so but I've got like I started collecting posters I got on that game a few years ago too, so ugh,
Oh, it's a game. It's a game
it
where I
is.
mostly it's like you lose so much money, but you
Well,
win with so
yeah.
much beautiful art.
Exactly, that's the way I put it to my husband. I was like, I'm not gonna get any more Dave Matthews T-shirts because I have so many. So I'm just gonna
Mm.
start collecting the posters because they're very significant to every show, first of all. And second of all, they're works of
Mhm.
art. They're very, unique. And when he started
Yes, and we're
seeing each one of
supporting
these,
these artists.
yeah, and each one of these posters I would start bringing in, I'm like, "You've gotta see this, Paul. You gotta see this. You gotta see this poster." And, I mean, they are really beautiful, and,
They are.
I have collected quite a few, and,
Ooh.
um, I have only
Favorite one?
one. I've only framed one,
Okay.
And that was
That's a whole different ball game that we forget about. It's like, oh, great, I got this $80 poster, $60, whatever, however much you spend on a poster,
yeah,
and then
and
you got to frame it.
exactly. And I thankfully have it stored like all the other posters in a portfolio,
Ooh,
portfolio. Excuse
awesome.
me, words are hard.
Yeah.
And but the one poster I do have framed was from the 2008 Rothbury Music Festival that took place up in northern Michigan. I went to that by myself. And it was my
Awesome.
first ever music festival I ever went to. And I went to it by myself. I camped by myself.
Wow.
Like I knew friends that were going, and like we, met up here and there. But
Sure.
yeah, that was a trip.
That sounds like Dave people, though, right? Like, I'm just going to go and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, and
plans,
that's
know
definitely,
anybody, but I know everybody, right? Like,
yeah. It was, it was such an experience because like I ended up knowing someone at the time that was supposed to be one of the artists for the electronic set that they had at night there. And he ended up pulling out of it
awesome.
last minute because his girlfriend was sick and he needed to take care of her and everything. But he was camped backstage in the artist camping. And he had taken me back there the first day.
Jesus, and all the opportunities.
It's weird. Like, I don't know how this happens, but it's weird when it happens because I'm just like, oh, he takes me back there and there's Dave's bus. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? His tent was literally like right there. My
Yeah.
friend's tent. And then Dave's bus. And I was like, what the hell is going on right now? And he's like, you need to just go over to it and just touch it. I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's weird. I'm going to look psycho. I did it anyway, but still.
Of course. Yeah. Gotta do it.
Because I the encouragement of a friend of mine. That's the only reason why. But I ended up getting a poster from that festival.
Why
And
not?
that's the poster I ended up framing with that stimulus money.
Good.
That happened a few years ago. And it's in a beautiful like barn frame and everything. And it was the first thing I hung in our new home.
Oh, of course. Priorities.
That's right.
Priorities.
Absolutely.
So what do you think that all these years later, I say it like it's been 100 years, but it's been a long time in a lifespan to spend chasing a band. What is it about them that still has you loving them?
Well, I have not only made some great longtime, probably lifetime friends, my concert buddy, Catherine Guzman. She is really the girl that I go to every show with, regardless of if her husband is going with her too. It's always her and I together. And it's become the tradition. That's what keeps me going is the friends I've made, the atmosphere. It's like it is my therapy session. It's why I go.
Yes.
It's why I continue to keep going. It's also you never know what you're going to get every time you go.
Oh,
and because Pine Knob is my home venue, it's such a great intimate venue.
Never been. I've always wanted to go.
It's the lawn is fantastic. And if you do have the privilege of being down in the pit, it's a small pit. And
it's good.
And because I'm short, the stage is also at a level where you feel like you're almost like dancing with them when they're playing.
Right. Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. And it's funny because having gone to so many shows at Pine Knob, I started with also not tailgating and just showing up like before the show to now I'm there at like 3:30 in the afternoon posting up at my favorite parking
What time
spot.
does the parking lot open?
Yeah, posting up at my favorite parking spot right by the porta potties, but like also where it's a high traffic area. And I've now all of a sudden we've acquired like this huge group that ends up joining us, and it's just like a party that ends up happening. And I love the vibe, and I live for it. I really do. And
Oh,
it's when Dave days happen, it's literally like my husband knows because he's like, nope, I know I won't see you all day. It's okay. Have your fun. Go. You know, it's your day. And he's been to a couple shows too with me. And I actually ended up also becoming really good friends with Joe Lawler, uh the
wow.
sound guy. And
For those of you, yeah, for those of you that don't know everything, who's Joe Lawler? Tell us who that is.
well, Joe Lawler is
He's like the guitar tech, right?
yeah, he is the sound guy, but he also is he was he gets up there and guests with them sometimes. Um and he's from Charlottesville, Virginia, kind of like where they're from. And he also he is an unbelievably talented person. And he's also just a really good guy. Like I can't say enough good things about him. And it's funny because like I ended up becoming friends with him through another mutual friend of ours who I met through the good old MySpace days.
All those days.
Yeah, you know, you got to have your top 5 or 10. And
Oh, what's your background?
yeah, and you got to have that song. You got to pick that one song that's just got to be on your profile, and your
What song?
wallpaper, and you got to know all the HTML codes to make fancy little like you know decorations on people's walls and stories and everything. But anyway, so
Such great times.
yes, and like I ended up becoming friends with Joe through uh also some Charlottesville people as well, Jay Pun and his partner Morwenna, and they are also musicians as well. And she plays fiddle, and he plays guitar, and I would also then graduate from being friends with them to finally like meeting them in person in Charlottesville when I went for the first time in 2007 for my birthday, for my 27th birthday. And Jay
Awesome.
has always been great every time I've gone to Charlottesville because he would tell me the things or places to go see and do it because he knew. He knew that, like, yeah, I'm in
Right.
Charlottesville because, like, obviously that's like pretty much Mecca for any Dave Matthews fan, really. But
Right.
also,
Right.
he told me these specific places to go because he knew who was going to be there. And because I had gone to Charlottesville to see DMB for my birthday, he told me to go to this place that it's no longer there. Um, but he told me to go to this bar just for like after dinner drinks and stuff called Outback Lodge. And it was like this
Mhm.
like local music scene, hole in the wall concert venue. Like sticky floors, the whole shebang, like stale beer. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
everything that you want in a hole in the wall bar. And
Yeah.
exactly. And like we were there, and this band was supposed to play that night called XBS. And I end up meeting my friend Jay for the first time there at the show. And then at the same time I'm meeting Jay, then this other person walks in. And I was like, is that who I think it is? And it was Leroy Moore. And that was the very first time I had
Wow.
met a band member, and it happened to be Leroy. And he was so sweet. I was so nervous because, like, yeah, they're
I
human just
bet.
like you and I, and I don't
Of
wanna be
course.
awkward. I don't wanna seem weird. I wanna make sure I say the right
Right.
things and not offend anybody, and,
Right.
um, I shook his
Of
hand, and I
course,
was
yeah.
like, "It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'm so honored," and I remember, like, his handshake, like, his hands were rough, and, he was very sweet, and, like, I still feel bad to this day. I was like, after I had a small conversation with him, I asked him if I could take a picture with him, but not knowing that he was camera shy. And he's like, "I'd rather not." I was
Oh.
like, and I go, I very fully respect that, and I'm sorry. And he's like, "It's okay, it's okay." And he's like, "It was very nice to meet you. Enjoy the show tonight." And then, like, after that, then the band came on stage, and it was Joe Lawler playing with XBS. And I have pictures from that show as
Wow.
well. So, it was just kind of
Send
like
them
a
in.
world colliding thing, and it was not just my birthday, but also one of the members in that band's birthday, and we just kind of, like, I was up front, I was dancing, I was drinking beer, I was having fun, and it was it was another one of those sensory overload kind of nights too, because I was just like, "What just happened?" So,
Wow.
yeah, it was
Wow.
really, really cool, and
I
and I remember like, going back to the hotel after that show or that concert there, seeing that band play, and I just had such a good time, but I'll never forget Joe and his playing, and when somebody is really into their craft as far as, like, a musician goes, they make those mean mugging
yeah.
faces, and they are just not just playing with their fingers, obviously, but playing with their heart, playing with their face, playing with their mind, and I mean, that's literally what he was doing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember shaking his hand as he was leaving the show, saying, how unbelievably blown away I was, and how awesome it was to meet him as well, because Jay had also introduced me to him as well. So fast forward, like, years later, um, gosh, it was actually that first date uh for that I had with my husband. Let's see.
Way.
Actually, no, let me backtrack a little bit. It was at Caravan, Dave Matthews Band Caravan at Lakeside,
Okay.
Chicago, when he got up and played
2011, right?
when Dave Matthews Band had Joe Lawler come up and play Sweet Emotion, and Rhyme and Reason on that last night.
Uh-huh.
It was that day before I had a poster that I made for Joe, and it said, "Let the law be with us, let Joe play." And it was Jay's idea, and he helped me come up with that saying because I was making posters for the crowd to try to get close enough so that the guys could see it and everything. And they weren't huge posters. I
Yeah.
wanted to be respectful. So, I
Sure,
remember
sure.
the first day being close enough, like 2 people deep. Dave saw my Joe sign, and I remember seeing him turn around, and in his earpiece, like, they wear their earpieces to communicate with each other too and stuff, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember him saying, like, "Hell yeah. Yeah, we should get Joe up here. Yeah." And that was the end of it. But then I got a message from Joe, like, the 3rd day saying, "I think your sign worked." And then he got up on stage, and I'm not kidding you. There is a live, it's on YouTube, of the performance before Joe comes out. There is this crazy person that screams so loud and so shrilly. That is me, because I know what's coming. And Dave whips his head to
Oh
see
my
who's
god.
screaming at the top of their lungs. Because I mean, I kinda can I can project. I'm a screamer. I have the concert yell, And I put my whole body into that scream. And then out comes Joe. And I'm not kidding you. It is the most memorable performance. I will never forget it. And I am going to say it's because of my sign that happened. And so I started bringing that sign to the sofa.
I fully believe it.
Yeah. And like, I feel like there was like this whole movement that happened after it where like, I then created shirts for Joe that said, it was like a logo I made for him. And it said, let the law be with us, let Joe play. And I made him just one shirt. And I asked Jay, like, what else can I get him as a gift to go with this? And he suggested some guitar strings.
Mm-hmm.
So I got him some guitar strings. And it was at then my first date with my now husband at that show that he got that darn set list from, that I gifted Joe the shirt and the guitar strings. And our friendship kind of just like blossomed from that. And yeah, it was just unreal. And I look forward to seeing him every time he's in town for the show. And I try to get out of town for shows. It's just financially not possible for me sometimes. Although
I get it. It's
last year was the first time in a while. Yeah. And last year was the first time in a while that I was actually able to go to more than one show in a year. Because I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony and, yes, it did. And I also, had gone to, what was it? Columbus when they were in Columbus or Cincinnati, maybe Cincinnati. Yeah. For the fall tour. Yeah.
They did do Columbus. I remember that.
Yeah. We just like me and Catherine on a whim went with her and, her husband and her brother-in-law to the show. And we like shared a hotel room together and everything. But that, I tried to see Joe those times and it's just, he's way too busy, first of all.
I don't know how they do it.
Working, and I try to make the effort to at least say hi. And I understand completely and fully that he's just a busy guy but it's like always so appreciated when he comes to town because he actually does take the time to come say hi to me whenever it's my hometown show. And
awesome.
he tries to gift me with just the lounge passes for the back area, for the food and stuff, and he can come say hi and actually have a conversation. And it really just makes my day when he can actually have more than a 5-minute conversation and just kind of take that time to breathe and like not focus on work and just catch up. And albeit brief, it's the quality time, not the quantity of time that I value.
Right.
So yeah, it's really, really cool to have all these friendships stem from the band from all different walks of life of the band, even, not just like from their side of it, but also just our side of it too. All the friends I've made and just end up meeting up and, the community that surrounds it. It's just really, really, really just, it has made my life and who I am. Yeah. Sorry if
it's hard to explain though, right? It
really is.
No. It's so hard to explain, especially to people that don't necessarily like or pay attention to the Dave Matthews Band. And there's, I would say the majority of the people on earth are not paying attention to the Dave Matthews Band. They should be, but they are not, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a small number in the world of bands that really still follow them. And, like Dave says, there's only 35,000 fans. They just are at every show. And I think that there's some real trueness in parts of that. His fans, I hate when I say his fans because I need to back up and remember to include them all because it has taken all
Absolutely.
of them to make what they have now. And Dave's amazing. I love him and he could do whatever he wanted in life. But like, I think a lot of us tend to say him just because like that kind of is the name of the band, right? The Dave Matthews Band, right?
Yeah, he even said it in an interview. And like, regarding the, well, effeminate, I couldn't come up with a name, so I named it the Dave Matthews Band.
My name, man. I don't know. It just went on from there, and it is
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing what over the span of time has happened. And I haven't found any other, not that I do a lot of research in music in general. This is kind of the band that I spend all my time and energy on, and I'm completely fine with that. I mean, I listen to other music. I think we all do. I have
Oh, yeah.
children. They introduced me to a lot of music.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so glad that they do, because there will be a day where new music is no longer coming from the Dave Matthews Band. They may continue singing their own songs, but they may not write anymore. Who knows? Who
Right.
knows? But I can't, parts of me don't believe that, because I know that as we grow and get older, our lives change, right? Some people go from single life to being married, and then from being married to having children, and then
Yep.
from having children to having grandchildren. And that surfaces in their lyrics and in their values of what they think is important to share with other people. And so I can never see Dave not writing, but I can see at some point not writing for the band anymore, more writing for him and whatever his future solo career looks like. I'm sure I feel that that's going to happen. And if not, I'm putting it into the universe. I have so many retirement plans for Dave Matthews. I say that all the time. I'm like, God, he needs to just hire me, because I could tell him so many ways that he could make money.
Like, that's funny that you
right?
would say that. That's funny you would say that, like hiring you, because and having the dreams and everything for other people. Like, I've always had the dream of being his personal chef. Well, that was back in the day.
Yeah.
Now I kind of like backtracked on that dream a little bit, and I just want to make him a cup of coffee. I want to be his coffee girl. I want to be the band. I want to be the band's coffee girl, and I know that he has come into my store before. Just I had not been there when he has come in. And
Damn it.
Whenever they're in town, they stay at one of the hotels nearby. And if they do stay anyway at the hotel, if they don't stay on their buses. But I do want to do that someday. And it's funny how it kind of blossomed from me being his personal chef one day to now just wanting to brew him a cup of coffee.
I just want to make him a good cup of coffee. Yeah. I think that's so perfect for you. And even if not getting hired on by the band, even just one time of getting to make, okay, dude, tell me what kind of coffee you like. Let me make you one professionally made cup of coffee that's going to blow your mind, sir. Mm-hmm. And that would be such a big deal to you, right? A memory that I'm surprised. You know what? I say you're going to have that memory, because you have fallen into every good situation that every fan wants to fall into, but doesn't even dream that big.
It's situations that I want to happen like that, like, for instance, a few years ago, I think this was 3 years ago. It's kind of mind boggling to think about, but I never thought that I would be front and center at my home venue for a show. But my dad had passed away, and because we'd been taking care of him, he had dementia. And we had waited a few months to figure out how to celebrate his life, and because we had him cremated and everything. And we ended up interring his ashes at the Veterans Cemetery in Holly, which wasn't far from at least my house. And it wasn't far from where the concert venue was either. And so the day that we ended up choosing to inter my father's ashes was the same day as my concert that I had pit tickets to. And it was already kind of like an overloaded day. And I had gone to the cemetery in the morning. We had the whole ceremony with the gun salute and the luncheon after, and me running home to get my husband and my daughter home. They were both passed out. It was such a long morning as it was, but they were napping as I changed into my concert outfit and then left to join my friend for tailgating and stuff. And it was my first time joining the pit lottery and knowing about it and actually participating in it. And I remember going back and forth from my car to like get the wristband, then being back there for the when they call the number and everything. And I remember me and Catherine going there going, okay, so they pull the number, and the number that they pull, the person wasn't there. So they ended up then like calling it a few times. And now, mind you, my number was 22. My friend Catherine was 21, I think, or maybe she was 22. I was 23. Anyway, they end up pulling another number, and I'm not kidding you. They called the number 22.
Oh my God.
And so, Catherine, we went in first. I was crying because of the day it had been.
Yes.
The day it had been, but also when we walked in and got, escorted in and everything, and like I could pick where I wanted to go. And
Yeah.
I got to be front and center, and it was the very first time ever. And I cried again. I cried multiple times through the show. And like I didn't want to be a wet, sloppy mess from crying and snotty and everything. Cause like at one point I made eye contact with I felt like I made eye contact with Tim while he was playing during a song, and I was bawling my eyes out, and he looked concerned almost.
Oh no.
Same time, I'm like,
no idea.
but at the same time, I'm like, maybe he's not even like paying attention to me and just really into the song.
He's probably not
that, but that whole moment, I never thought I would be there. And I had thrown it out into the universe so many times, and it finally happened. So I remember texting, because I didn't have time to meet up with Joe before that show happened, but I remember texting him about everything and telling him how it was such a defining moment for me to be so front and center, and just everything that happened that day. Like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Sorry. But it just really, really meant so much. And so I'm hoping that those other dreams that I do have, that I've put into the universe like that, with wanting,
you know what?
just make
you
it
have to dream, and you have to say those things, because otherwise you're not trying to go after those dreams.
Case.
It's funny how, like, because Dave has been in your life for so long, there are some emotional spots to it, because it is such a big part of your life, and the community that is the Dave Matthews Band fans, they are part of your family, and I'm sure that there were people that were helping to get you through that, and that realized that was going on and were there for you.
Yes, they were 100%. My best friend, Justin, he was also at that show too. And because it was over 100 degrees that day, he was passing me and Catherine bottles of water up front, because he's just like, this is your day, girl. This is your day. So it was just, I'll never forget it. And it's just a story I haven't told really too much, but at the same time, it's like near and dear to my heart, because it's that, and like the day I also actually ended up meeting Dave, that was another one too. But
you can't leave that out.
No, sorry.
I mean, that's whatever we're doing in the story. I don't know what part we're going to, but like, tell us that. We're gonna close up this story for those of you that are listening. Thank you for still listening. This has been, and honestly, Sara, this has been one of my favorite stories that I've recorded. You just had all of these things, happen, and it was all supposed to happen. There was no luck involved. Like you were supposed to have this, and it sounds like it's really touched your life, and
it really
it's
has
made it better. It's made it better.
Yeah, it's this whole experience with meeting Dave, I had no idea was going to happen. First of all,
most people don't. I don't. It just happens.
So, again, with the whole, let me start from the beginning. I'll try to keep it brief.
We have have to know every
bullet point it, kind
detail.
of. My friend Catherine and I would always meet up in Birmingham for what we call our Dave Matthews Days. And we would have a cup of coffee before the show, walk around downtown, and then go to our tailgating spot. And we would always have snacks and stuff. And anyway, her uncle by marriage, he is one of the tour bus drivers. And at the time, I think he was driving Carter. I can't remember. But anyway, he would meet up with us occasionally when he was in town for the shows. And he had told us, like, let me know when you guys are at the show and I'll come meet up with you guys. So that day, I think it was July 9th, 2017. I think that's when it was. Maybe earlier.
Dang,
anyway, it was earlier, but anyway, I think I have the poster from that show. But anyway, we ended up meeting up with her uncle, and instead of like him coming to us or whatever, he's like, meet me over at the East Gate. Now, mind you, I also had t-shirts for Joe for his some family members to wear that had the logo on it and everything that said, let the law be with us, let Joe play. Yeah. That I also needed to get to him. So I was like, oh, well, that's perfect. I'll hopefully see him backstage. So I let him know that I was, meeting up with Catherine's uncle, and up, comes riding her uncle on a bike, and he's like, follow me. And so we're like, what is happening right now? He took us backstage to the tour buses, and we're walking and talking and stuff while he's just riding his bike and everything. And up comes Joe, and we're talking, and I was like, here's your shirts, and we took a few photos, and I was wearing my shirt as well that I had made. And then me, Joe, Catherine, and her uncle are all talking, and she's having a conversation with her uncle. And then I just happen to glance over and I see this person walking towards us. And like, what is happening? And I grabbed Catherine's arm. I go, Catherine. And then before I could say anything, Dave is right there. And Dave goes to Catherine's uncle. I was wondering who these pretty ladies you were talking to were. And Catherine's eyes got so wide, and I'm recording the whole thing, and I have the pictures.
Hell yeah.
And she had no chill. I had to calm her down. I had to calm her down. I was like, chill, stop. I go, David, this is my friend Catherine. Catherine, this is David.
Literally said that today. You were like, David?
Yeah, because he introduced himself as David. He introduced himself.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so Catherine's uncle was like, this is my niece, and I wanted to bring her back here, and like we're all just kind of hanging out, talking and stuff, and just catching up. And Joe then kind of like pieced out because I think he kind of saw what was happening. He's like, well, I got stuff to do anyway, so thanks for the shirts and stuff. But and then like Catherine got her pictures and stuff with Dave, and then it was then my turn. I introduced myself. I was like, nice to meet you. I'm Sara, and I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me. And he took some pictures, and he was so very kind and nice. Like I didn't really have a conversation, but I just remember him gripping me very tightly, like to get in for the picture and stuff. And he was very patient as well. And like it was kind of a blur what happened. And when he walked away, I was like, what? What? That just happened? Oh my God, what? And then we ended up going to
this really happened.
Yeah, after we got up to because the concert was going to be starting soon, and it was also about to thunderstorm because in the background of our pictures there's the clouds starting to come in, and like the buses in the background and stuff. I remember us getting down to the pit because we had tickets. We were on stage left. And Catherine's like, "This is a celebration. We're getting yard drinks." And and this is back when they had also actual opening bands, and it was Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. And
Wow.
she performed a couple of my favorite songs, and I cried, bawled my tears out to one of them. And I remember then the show, like Dave, the band coming out and everything, and like he saw us in front and he like pointed at us, me and Catherine, and waved.
Aw.
And just remembering us from backstage and stuff. And it was just really, I can't believe it happened, but it happened. And yeah.
You
And
did.
since then
You get to prove it.
I do. Yes. Yep. I've also met Jeff. I've met Rashawn. I used to talk to Rashawn on the phone actually back in the day.
Holy, look at
My-
you.
In the MySpace days, of course, when he first joined the band,
Uh-huh.
I just was like, I'm wondering if he seemed kind of like real shy, because judging by his demeanor, when
Yeah.
he would play, I'm like, I'm wondering if he could use a friend. I just messaged him randomly. I was like, anytime you need somebody to talk to or want a friend, like, give me a call sometime, And I'm not kidding you. Not a week later, I get this unknown number blowing up my phone. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I answer the phone. I'm like, hello? And it was him. And I'm like, what is going on right now? And then I also befriended his mom, and his mom would call me.
Wait. I'm going to stop you right now. Hold on. Back it up. You answer the phone. I need to know at that point what was said.
I answered the
Hello?
phone. I was like, who is this? He's
You
like, this is
No,
Rashada.
you didn't know who it was.
I was like, you actually are calling me right now? Okay, so I don't know what to tell
You believed him after that. I love that. I would have been like, yeah, right. Fucking prove it.
Yeah, no, and then I remember, like, after that first phone call, I ended up going to see them in Toronto at the Molson Amphitheater, and I went down to go say hi to him. He's like, "Hey, Sarah, how you doing?" And
Holy shit.
we just kind of had a small talk sort of situation from him being up on the stage and me down below. But
I remembered you.
yeah, and like he called me maybe 1 or 2 times after that, and then that was pretty much it as far as him calling me. But it was kind of small talk calls. Like he was always out and about doing something and running errands and
A fucking rock star.
pretty much, yeah. And like I remember connecting with his mom too, Beverly, and she would call me from the Virgin Islands, and we'd talk for
I've
like
heard
an
so
hour.
much about this lady. Everyone says that she's like super sweet, like the mama to everybody, right? And
Rashawn,
I'm so
your
intrigued
mother
by
is
her.
amazing, and she is a goddess. And every conversation I've ever had with her, she's always just been. I would tell her about my life. I haven't talked to her in so long, but I would tell her about my life and what's going on. And she would, talk to me. And like, she has that beautiful, thick Virgin Islands, like accent that I felt so bad sometimes because I'm terrible about talking on the phone. And I would be like, I'm sorry, can you say that again? But like, I just wanted to hear her say it again because I just loved her accent.
Isn't that so weird to tell somebody too? That
No, he's like, tell me I sound Canadian, but like at the same time, I'm technically close to Canada, but at the same time, it's also
Irish.
Yeah, it's the nasally like A's,
I can hear it, and I mean, from a girl that's from the South,
Yeah.
like I can hear. Yeah, I think that's how we describe it. It's just like people from Michigan, those areas. Well, Michigan being probably the number one state I hear. There's just a bit of a nasal-ish change when
Yep.
and my good friend has a boyfriend and his whole family's from Michigan. And when she tells me like things that she said, she can do a perfect Michigan accent, which is so funny because she's from Kansas and she sounds like me. But there's just something about a Michigan accent that's like, oh, I know exactly where you're from.
Oh yeah. And it's also the certain words we say, like it's not refrigerator, it's refrigerator. It's all the stores, it's Kroger, but you got to call it Kroger's or Meyer's.
Oh, I didn't.
There's always an S on the end of certain stores, but it's not Target's. It's just Target, and it's always Target. Yeah,
that's so fancy. Man, I can't. I love a good Target. I love a good Target, but dang, they are a little pricier, but they do sell nicer things, and so I love Target. There's not enough of them.
Yeah, sometimes I just go there to check out, just, kind of look around. And I call it the black hole, where you go in needing only one thing, but you come out maybe $100 more.
Yes. Yes. That's why I try to not to go into Target.
Yeah.
Just don't go in. And
Right.
then it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Dave Matthews Band takes all my money anyway, so,
Yes,
cool.
they do.
Well, it's so funny that your story, it kind of started and almost ended at the exact same spot. And I love that because you kind of started out talking about meeting your now husband at the show and like the background thing that he did there. And then you went all the way through your journey and ended up kind of right back there, which is, you did it really well, Sarah. You told your story really well. I love your story. There's so many fun things. And again, and this is proof that every fan brings a completely different story to the table, no matter, even if you and I had just loved the band the same amount of times, like for 10 years, both of us 10 years we're in or whatever. Our stories are completely different because of the experiences we've had, the people we've met, the community around the band. Like it changes everything, and everyone has a very personal story. And so I'm so glad that you came on this show to share, because it's been so fun to hear of, like, you've won the lottery so many times in the department of the Dave Matthews Band. Pretty damn lucky, right? Pretty damn lucky for sure.
I'm just me, and I try to just be there at the right times, and I just try to just go with the flow,
Do it. Well, I can't thank you enough for being on this show. And again, I think so many people are going to enjoy this because your story is not like anyone else's. 10 years though, right? We're not done. Just in the part of your journey. And it's 2025. We're so damn lucky to be able to say that the band is still traveling, still has future travel dates out. We'll see what the future looks like, but I think they're still on the bandwagon. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I don't think they're stopping anytime soon.
And even if, heaven forbid, like the band does stop touring, which honestly, like that's going to happen for any act, no matter what. We're not getting any younger. They're not getting any younger. Life happens. And still, I don't think any of them will stop writing music. And they will continue to have music be part of their lives until probably the day that they obviously leave this plane. But, and that can really be said to any of us. Music will be a part of our lives no matter what. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just different chapters of our book, right? Have made decisions, and people that we've relied on and really were so much more than just concert friends. They became true family, and we call them in our deepest, darkest moments. And they're there for us, not because we love the same music, but because it turns into more and what a great way to meet people. It's so hard to meet people, I think, as adults, because we all just like go to work and come home and go to work and come home. And so to get to meet people in this way and to build these relationships is such an honor. I think it's such a privilege that I'm so thankful for. And I didn't even know that this was coming into my life. I mean, I knew I always loved the Dave Matthews Band, of course, but I didn't even know what was yet to come. And it's just gotten it's just been so much better every year that we've had it. And I'm so thankful for this time.
Yeah. It's great.
It's great. And we can't wait to see what happens in the future. The band's got a lot of things going on this year, and the show is on the road. So, guys, if you're listening to this, keep up with the podcast. See where we're going to be. We're going to be in St. Louis very soon, and we'll be doing interviews with fans between 2 and 3, and we'll release that information out on the Facebook pages. So if you're going to be in St. Louis, find us, tell us your fan journey, connect with us, tell us why in the world are you in St. Louis, Missouri to hear the Dave Matthews Band. I hope to meet lots of you and get to hear lots of stories, because that's how this podcast works. If nobody comes forward to tell their story, then the podcast dies. And I know that there's at least 30,000 fans. So I have a lot of stories yet to record. So I'm looking for you if you're interested in sharing your journey. It's as simple as just messaging me. Sara, was it very hard to get on the show?
Not at all.
And I'm so glad that you did. You just reach out and you say, hey, I'd love to share my journey. And then we just schedule you, and then you were forever in history, recorded and documented for yourself and for so many other people. Why in the world we are listening to this band. And I do believe that this podcast is known by the band. I know that. And so even if they just know about it, to know that the fans are saying these things about something that they've spent basically all their lives building, what a compliment to the band. What a compliment. And that is what this is just a big compliment to the band that's changed a lot of our lives. And so thank you again, Sara, for being on the show. If you're interested, hit me up on any of the socials. We're on everything: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whichever way you swing. I'm there in some capacity. So definitely hit me up. And we'll be on the road. So check us out. In the meantime, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.